Story 1. Whispers in the Snowfall. In the quaint town of Evergreen Hollow, nestled between snow-capped mountains in rural Vermont, the holiday season always brought a blanket of pristine white snow and the warm glow of twinkling lights. But for Emily Hargrove, a 32-year-old librarian who had moved there to escape the chaos of city life, Christmas Eve of 2025 was about to become a nightmare etched in frost. Emily lived alone in a cozy cabin on the outskirts of town, surrounded by dense pine forests that whispered with the wind. She had no family left. Her parents had passed in a car accident years ago, and her siblings were scattered across the country, too busy with their own lives to visit. So, she filled her days with books, hot cocoa, and the occasional volunteer shift at the local shelter. This year, she decided to host a small gathering for a few neighbors. Old Mr. Wilkins from down the road, the young couple next door, Sarah and Tom, and a stray cat she'd named Jingle that had adopted her porch. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of crimson and indigo, Emily decorated her living room with garlands and a modest tree adorned with handmade ornaments. The fire crackled merrily in the hearth, and the scent of cinnamon cookies wafted from the kitchen. Outside, snow began to fall gently, like feathers from a ruptured pillow. The guests arrived one by one, stomping snow from their boots and exchanging cheerful greetings. Mr. Wilkins, with his bushy white beard that made him look like Santa's understudy, regaled them with tales of past Christmases. Sarah and Tom, bundled in matching ugly sweaters, shared stories of their recent honeymoon. Emily felt a rare warmth in her chest, a sense of belonging she hadn't known since childhood. As midnight approached, they gathered around the tree for a toast. "To new beginnings and old friends," Emily said, raising her glass of mulled wine. The others echoed her, their voices mingling with the soft carols playing on her vintage radio. That's when it started. A faint whisper, barely audible over the music. Emily cocked her head, thinking it was the wind, but it grew clearer, like a voice murmuring just beyond the window pane. "Emily, I know what you did." She froze, her glass halfway to her lips. The others didn't seem to notice. Mr. Wilkins was laughing at a joke, Sarah sipping her drink contentedly. Emily shook her head, attributing it to fatigue. She'd been up late wrapping gifts. The whisper came again, closer this time, as if spoken directly into her ear. "The accident wasn't an accident, was it? You let them drive that night?" Her heart pounded. No one knew about that. Years ago, on a stormy Christmas Eve, her parents had insisted on driving home after a family dinner, despite the weather. Emily, then a rebellious teen, had argued with them, storming off without saying goodbye. But the whisper implied something darker, that she had somehow caused it. Ridiculous. She pushed the thought away. As the evening wound down, the guests departed, leaving Emily alone with Jingle curled by the fire. She locked the door, dimmed the lights, and headed to bed. The snow now a blizzard outside. Sleep came fitfully, haunted by dreams of twisted metal and her parents' accusing eyes. She awoke to silence. The clock read 3:17 a.m. The power was out, the room pitch black except for the dying embers. And then, the whisper returned, louder, insistent. "They screamed your name as the car plunged off the bridge. You could have stopped it." Emily bolted upright, sweat beading on her forehead despite the chill. "Who's there?" she called out, her voice trembling. The whisper laughed, a soft, tinkling sound like bells on a sleigh. "I am the Yuletide Whisperer. I come with the snow, bearing truths you buried deep." She fumbled for her phone, the flashlight beam cutting through the darkness. The cabin seemed empty, but the air felt heavier, charged with an unseen presence. She crept downstairs, the floorboards creaking underfoot. In the living room, the Christmas tree lights flickered back on inexplicably, casting eerie shadows. Ornaments swayed gently, as if breathed upon. The whisper encircled her now, coming from all directions. "You wished them dead that night. Your anger was a curse, and now they're waiting for you in the cold." Panic surged. Emily grabbed her coat and boots, bursting out into the storm. Snow whipped her face, visibility near zero. She stumbled toward the forest, away from the cabin, but the whisper followed, undeterred by the howling wind. "Run if you like, but secrets don't freeze." Hours blurred into a frantic escape. She lost her way, the trees closing in like skeletal fingers. Frostbite nipped at her extremities, but the voice pressed on, revealing more. How she'd ignored their calls for help in her dreams. How guilt had driven her to isolation. "Join them, Emily. The river awaits." Dawn broke as she collapsed near the frozen riverbank, the same one where her parents' car had crashed all those years ago. Though miles from her cabin, how had she ended up here? The whisper faded with the rising sun, leaving her shivering and broken. Rescuers found her later that morning, hypothermic but alive. She babbled about a whispering ghost, but they chalked it up to delirium. Back in the hospital, Emily recovered physically, but the whispers never truly left. Every snowfall brought them back, softer now, promising reunion if she just listened closely enough. Mr. Wilkins visited her, his eyes twinkling oddly. "Old legends say the Yuletide Whisperer only speaks to those with unfinished business," he said. "Best to confess before it claims you." Emily never hosted another gathering. She moved away, but the whispers traveled with her, a eternal Yuletide curse. Story 2. Echoes of Forgotten Gifts. Marcus Reed was a man who prided himself on logic. At 45, he ran a successful tech startup in Seattle, where rainy winters were more annoyance than atmosphere. Christmas meant obligations, corporate parties, obligatory gifts for his estranged wife Lena and their teenage son Dylan, and a facade of holiday cheer he didn't feel. This year, 2025, he planned a quiet escape, a solo trip to a remote cabin in the Cascades, leaving family drama behind. The cabin was rustic, equipped with modern amenities like Wi-Fi and a generator. Marcus arrived on December 23rd, unloading his SUV under a gray sky threatening snow. He settled in with a bottle of scotch, a stack of unread reports, and the intention to work through the holidays undisturbed. That night, as flurries began, he heard it first, a murmur from the vents like static on an old phone line. "Marcus, remember the gift you never gave?" He dismissed it as the wind or perhaps a neighbor's radio bleeding through. But as he dozed by the fire, it returned. The one wrapped in regret, hidden in the attic of your soul. Jolted awake, Marcus checked the cabin thoroughly. Empty. No signs of intrusion. He poured another drink, chalking it up to isolation playing tricks. The next day, Christmas Eve, he ventured out for firewood. The snow now ankle-deep. The forest was silent, oppressively so. Back inside, he video-called Dylan, who seemed distant, hurt by Marcus's absence. "Dad, Mom says you're running again," the boy said. Guilt twinged, but Marcus brushed it off. As the call ended, the whisper slithered in. "You promised him the world, but gave him excuses. The gift of time, unwrapped and discarded." Marcus's mind flashed to Dylan's birth, how he'd missed it for a business trip, how subsequent birthdays blurred into apologies. "Shut up!" he shouted at the empty room. The voice chuckled, merry yet menacing. "I am the Yuletide Whisperer. I deliver what you've long ignored, the echoes of your failures." Power flickered, then died. Marcus lit candles, their flames dancing wildly. The whispers intensified, recounting forgotten promises. To Lena, vows broken by affairs. To his late father, a deathbed visit skipped for a deal. "They're all waiting, Marcus. In the snow, their gifts for you are vengeance." He barricaded himself in the bedroom, but the voice penetrated walls. Desperate, he grabbed his keys, intent on driving back to civilization. The SUV wouldn't start, battery drained in the cold. Trapped, he endured the night. Visions plagued him, ghostly figures in the windows, faces of those he'd wronged, mouthing silent accusations. The whisper wove them together. "Unwrap your guilt, or it will bury you." By morning, snowdrifts blocked the door. Marcus dug out, hiking toward the main road. The forest seemed alive, branches whispering in unison. He stumbled upon an old, abandoned gift box half buried in snow. Pristine despite the elements. Inside, a mirror reflected Naha's face, but his father's disappointed eyes. Hallucinations or reality? He smashed it, but the shards reformed the whisper. "You can't break what's inside you." Rescue came via snowmobile from a park ranger, who found Marcus delirious, muttering about gifts. Back home, he reconciled with Lena and Dylan, vowing change. But every Christmas, when snow falls, the whispers return, reminding him that some gifts can't be returned. The ranger later confided, "Folks around here know the whisperer. It only stops when you listen and act." Marcus did, but the price was his sanity, forever tuned to Yuletide echoes. Story 3. The Silent Carol. In the bustling suburb of Oak Ridge, Illinois, the Peterson family embodied holiday perfection. David, 38, a marketing executive, his wife Clara, 36, a school teacher, and their two children, Lily, 10, and Max, 7, decorated their home with elaborate lights that drew neighbors' admiration. Christmas 2025 promised to be magical, with relatives flying in for a grand feast. But beneath the cheer lurked tensions. David worked long hours, Clara felt neglected, and the kids sensed the strain. On December 20th, as they trimmed the tree, a strange hush fell over the house. The radio, playing Silent Night, crackled, then whispered, "Family, the carol you sing is false." Clara paused, ornament in hand. "Did you hear that?" David laughed it off. "Probably interference." But that night, as snow blanketed the yard, the whisper visited each in turn. To Clara, in the kitchen. "He hides messages on his phone, late nights not at the office." To David, in his study. "She resents you, dreams of leaving with the children." To Lily, in her bed. "They fight because of you. Your demands too much." To Max, "You're the accident they regret." The family awoke unsettled, but said nothing, attributing it to bad dreams. Christmas Eve arrived with a storm. Guests canceled flights, leaving the Petersons alone. As they gathered for dinner, the power outage plunged them into darkness. Candles lit, they tried caroling, but the whispers interrupted, harmonizing sinisterly. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is blight. Panic set in. The voice identified itself. I am the Yuletide Whisperer, singer of unsung truths. Your facade crumbles like snow underfoot. It revealed secrets. David's affair with a colleague, Clara's hidden savings for divorce, Lily's bullying at school she concealed, Max's fear of the dark stemming from overhearing arguments. The family turned on each other, accusations flying. "Is it true?" Clara demanded. David confessed, tears streaming. The children sobbed. The whisper urged deeper. "Sing the full carol, expose all, or silence will consume you." They barricaded doors against the storm and the entity. But it was inside, in their minds. Visions appeared, ghostly carolers outside, faces twisted in judgment. By midnight, the house felt alive, walls breathing whispers. They huddled together, forced to confront truths. Forgiveness flickered, but the whisperer twisted it. Lies bind you tighter than love. Dawn brought light, power restored. The family emerged changed. Therapy sessions followed, bonds mended. But the whispers lingered in quiet moments, a silent carol warning against deception. A neighbor, overhearing their tale, nodded knowingly. "The whisperer comes for fractured homes. Heals or breaks. Your choice." The Petersons chose healing, but holidays forever carried a chill refrain.